Welcome to the Manufacturing Matters podcast with the Council of Industry. Join us as we bring you inspiring stories, interviews, and insights from across the Hudson Valley that will revolutionize the way you think about manufacturing. This podcast is proudly sponsored by PKF O'Connor Davies, a leading accounting and advisory firm dedicated to helping businesses thrive in the manufacturing sector. With their industry knowledge and strategic guidance, PKF O'Connor Davies ensures that manufacturers have the financial insights and support they need to achieve success.
John Fong, Plant Superintendent at President Container Group. Welcome to the Council of Industry podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So, John, let's start big picture. Tell us about President Container Group. What do you guys make in Middletown?
President Container Group is a corrugated company. We make corrugated boxes, display boxes, anything corrugated is what we make here. Normally, people don't know what corrugated boxes are. They normally call them cardboard boxes.
Right.
It's not corrugated. It's not cardboard. It's a corrugated process that has a lot of science involved with it. And it makes the structure of these boxes that we use for everyday mailers, shippers, transportation, agricultural boxes, garment boxes, moving boxes, any kind of thing, mailers. And that's what we do here. President.
So kind of big, who are the customers that you primarily, so why you guys have everybody? I mean, it's big, right?
We have a wide array of customers. We service basically a 350 mile radius from the plant, which is stationed here in Middletown, Scotchtown, New York. We do anything from apple farmers, Crisp Apples, to L'Oreal, to Costco, to little mom and pop shops. And that's what we specialize in. There's no shortage of who will supply. We don't have any major customer that we have doesn't occupy more than 5% of our market share.
Oh, wow. That's really, that's nice and spread out. That's got to feel good as you get a little diversity there.
Mm-hmm. In addition to that, in Jersey, where we have our headquarters, we have a Tech Pack, which is a pack out system. So for customers, we'll pack out their products into the cartons and ship displays out to companies, various companies. Then we also have a President Industrial Products, which is basically like, I don't want to say Uline, but it's like Uline. Any industrial products that you would need for companies need cleaning supplies, boxes where we sell by the bundles, tape, plastic wrap, bubble wrap, anything of that nature. We sell through President Industrial Products. And then we also have PCG Cares, which is our non-for-profit. And we donate a lot of corrugated products to companies that are in need of corrugated boxes, such as food banks. We send a lot of stuff to ship packages over to Ukraine. For the neonatal births in the hospitals, we have a PCG Cares box that was initiated by Rich Goldberg, who was a former vice president of operations. He recently retired, and he used to be a board member. And it basically, his grandson was born and was in a neonatal for a long time. He was born premature. And we started this thing where every kid that came from the neonatal, that graduated from the neonatal and went out at various hospitals, would get pajamas, some meals and stuff like that. And it came in a nice little die-cut box that would go out with the parents. And we continue that program. And then we do a lot of supporting of local things in the area, like the Run for Downtown in Middletown. We do Council of Industry stuff.
Yep.
We do baseball teams and various other things that we sponsor.
I know from the workforce development side and so forth, you guys just donated some corrugated and some materials for the boat regatta for the high school challenge, the 3 high schools that are doing their homemade boat competition. That's a corrugated boat competition.
Correct.
Yeah, that's great.
Valley Central, yeah.
Valley Central, Marlboro, and Goshen, I think, are the 3 teams. So that's great. So in Middletown, you're just making, like it's just the box manufacturing side, right? And I say just, but it's a huge facility.
Middletown is our manufacturing plant. This is where all the corrugated manufacturing takes place. What we do is we have 2 110-inch Fosbury corrugators, which people don't really understand what goes into making a corrugated box or corrugated sheet. There's a science to it. So we have one machine that we had since 2010 when we moved up here. That's a double wall machine. That's where you get the 2 thick double wall. You have B flute and C glued together. And those are your more industrial type boxes. And then we have a single wall machine that we just added 2 years ago. And that just does single wall. That's your seafood or your beef. That's your normal corrugated, regularly slotted container that you're used to seeing.
Right.
We produce about 10 and a half to 11 million square foot off of that machine a day. And we run it
Wow.
through 24 converting machines of various types. We have flexo folder gluers, which actually make the box. And then we have die cutters, which more people would be associated with pizza boxes
Right.
or display boxes that go up in supermarkets where you hold up the potato chips or the batteries and different stuff like that. And the trays, like when you go into Costco, you have the trays that the stuff is sitting into. We place the displays into it. So we go anywhere from a taper, which tapes the boxes together, to a gluer, which glues the box together, and a stitcher for our heavy industrial boxes. And then pretty much
So, I mean, and just for just some scale here, how big is the plant? Because it is a big plant.
well, it's 650,000 square feet. 2 years ago, we finished an expansion. We added 150,000 square feet to it. So it's the size of about 5 football fields.
It's a big operation.
Super plant. It's a super plant. We have over 10 miles of conveyor systems to move everything through the plant. We have an enormous air system that runs all of this with compressors and dryers and everything. We have a fabulous maintenance team. We hire about 45 people on our maintenance team.
Wow.
From mechatronics engineers, which we just got one from Dutchess County from the program.
Oh, great.
Program.
Yay.
Yep, her name is April. We just picked her up. She's basically a mechatronics, but would be an instrumentation technician. That's what the title is. We have 3 of those. We employ 2 electrical engineers, a mechanical engineer, which is our plant engineer, and then we have another industrial engineer.
Wow.
So that's
how many people total in the plant?
Total we have about 365 right now, but we can go up to, we need about 385.
Okay. Yeah, like everybody else.
About 20 short with. Manning is hard nowadays.
Yeah.
It's hard to get people that want to go into manufacturing. And that's what the council industry is all about, getting people into manufacturing and seeing the necessity of the manufacturing in society. That's a hardship, is getting the qualified people to come in, even at the entry level position. It's just hard.
Right.
Not want to do anymore.
Absolutely. But it is, it is a good job, and you guys pay well, and nice benefits package. So it's all good. So that kind of leads me to the question of, how did you get into this gig? You have kind of a non-traditional path into manufacturing, from what I understand.
Yes, I started off in President Container about 9 years ago. I came to them knowing about the company from previous experiences, and I was working in the city. I retired from the city, and I lived up in this area. And a friend of mine called me up. His name was Steve Testa. He was the trafficking manager for the logistics section of shipping. And he said, "I'm tired of sitting on the couch." He said, "I need you over here to help me out." So I came into shipping, worked in shipping for about a year and a half. Then I moved into the quality division of the company. And from there is where I gained most of my corrugated experience. A wonderful tutor that I had, and her name is Cindy Kubler. She's a phenomenon in the corrugated business.
Okay.
She is very heavily involved in all our governing bodies, which is TAPI and Fiber Board, and she's the QA manager. And she taught me what I needed to know about corrugated, put me through some rigorous training. And then from there, I went in to be a supervisor on the floor in converting. Did that for a couple of years, and then moved into the superintendent role for shift superintendent. That means I covered a shift and basically ran the building off shift while main managers and everybody wasn't here. And then I guess they saw something in me and they promoted me to plant superintendent. And now I work directly under the plant manager, who's Matthew Grossbart. He's also the son of ownership, of owner Larry Grossbart. And we have 2 principal owners, which is Larry Grossbart and Rich Grossbart, they're brothers. And that's how I moved up in the company. Perseverance and hard work, I guess.
Yeah. So, but I mean, from an education standpoint, you're not an engineer, right? You,
Oh, no, 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 no.
yeah, right.
My
Yeah.
my my degree is in electrical engineering.
Oh, okay.
My degree is from, and then follow on with business administration masters.
Okay.
And yep, that's what my background as far as
Gotcha.
education.
No,
Um,
that's interesting.
that helped me. The degree helped me in understanding the mechanical aspects of the business, 100%. Because with all the machinery that we have 24 machines. Part of being a superintendent is understanding the capabilities of the machines and the specifications of the machines in order to get the product through. And then the
Right.
management part came through my years of managing when I was working in the city,
Right.
uh, for the city, and that helped me delve into the management aspect of it.
Let's talk a little bit about that, that management. You guys have worked with us to deliver the leadership development program, that our supervisor training, the certificate in manufacturing leadership. I think you've done it, is it twice or three times for a bunch of
Four
folks, right?
times, four times.
Wow. Wow.
We had
So you put,
because when I first started, I've done 3 cohorts with you, and then we did one prior cohort where they did actually at Westchester County Community College.
right. That was a while ago. Yeah.
That was the first one. Rich, all I did was carry on the legacy of what Rich Goldberg started with you. And I saw the need and the importance of developing young supervisors as they get promoted, because the majority of our supervisors come from the floor.
Right.
This business is so different than everything else that we do, since we are an independent corrugated company, not an integrated as opposed to your major companies like Pratt, right? The structure is a little different. West Rock, IP, they have multiple factors that they can pull from to get talent.
Right. Yeah.
Us coming to New York in 2010, we basically moved from Moonachie, New Jersey, up here, built this plant, and somehow had to fill it with people. And you had to fill it with people who had no corrugated experience, except for the ones that came up
Right.
from Jersey, where our original plant was. So we had to expand upon our supervision and management. So how do you do that? It's hard to pull people away from other companies. Some people will come, but
Sure.
it's a hard because they have their structure and they're already moving in their career advancement. So we brought a lot of people from the floor. So we made a lot of operators into supervisors. Now, just because you can operate a machine doesn't mean you can supervise people. So in turn, what we had to do, we had to come up with a program that helped enhance their supervisory skills. And that's where the Council of Leadership came, Council of Industry came in. Through the Council of Industry, you guys were able to offer us a platform that we could give these newly promoted supervisors the basic tools to supervise through leadership classes, having them understand the basic management, having them understand accounting issues, having them understand human resource issues. And I don't remember exactly what all the topics
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Communication, problem solving, decision
Problem
making, best
solving,
practices. Yeah.
right.
Our list is long, but
Right. So we had all of those put together into these cohorts from what you guys formulated for us, and that gave them the basic tools to supervise. And then with follow-on training, as far as from our point of view, what we have now a vector training system, which is a computer-based training system, and anything of the technical aspect we put into there, and they could sit down and they could refresh, or they could go through their quarterly training through the computer. But that basic tool, the way we bring people in from the Council of Industry, the instructors, that one-on-one with the class in the classroom setting, working through their little problem-solving issues, and all the presentations that the instructors are able to give, gives a good basis to making a solid supervisor. And that's why we follow that program and go with it so much.
have you seen it be effective? I mean, have you seen people on the floor, just more communicative or dealing with people better, fewer problems, I guess, coming?
Yes, most certainly. It's a funny situation. We had a supervisor that was an operator, and he was very hard-headed, okay? And he knows the machines very, very well, but his interpersonal skills were lacking. And he was bumping heads a lot with some of the employees. He took the class, and when he got to the interpersonal relationships and problem solving, he came down to me after. He goes, "Now I know what you were talking about."
That's good.
He says, "I understand." And it's happened to a lot of other people who've taken the class as well. He said, now I understand. And what he understood and what he was able to take from it is that as so long as you treat people fairly and equitable, you might have the knowledge within you, but if you can't effectively relay that knowledge to the employee, then you're not going to be successful as a supervisor because they look to you for leadership. They look to you for guidance. And part of your basic responsibility to that employee is to make sure that he's getting that information in an effective way. And part of his responsibility as an employee is to make sure that you have the understanding that he is receiving that information. So it's responsibility up and down, back and forth. And after taking the class, on that particular part of the cohort, that section of the cohort, he came down and he told me that. And I said, yeah. I said, it's how you attack the situation, how you talk to people.
Right.
Want a favorable response? You talk favorably and you treat people fair and equitably. You don't know where everybody came from. You don't know what's going to offend the group, what's going to offend this person, whatever. But so long as you stick to his basic premise of fair and equitability, you'll get better results.
John, did you take classes similar to that? I mean, is that something that you took? You said you got a degree in business as well as engineering. Is that something that you got out of that, or is that something that you learned through experience? And just hearing your, even just that President Container, that kind of path forward, is that
No,
you live that, you training?
That's through life experience. Also, I was in the military prior, and so a lot of the leadership classes in the military teach that. And then classes that I had at my prior job, they taught that. And through education, yeah, higher education taught me that. But a lot of it is you could teach with so much, it comes into life experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people have a lot of life experience to express and to share with people, but it's just on how to hone it together. But yeah, definitely formal education has helped me a lot in those areas, 100%.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know we hear a lot from our folks that frontline role is so important. You mentioned earlier that it's hard to get people to come in and work in the plant. It's even harder if their boss is a jerk, right?
Yeah.
They're going to come and they're going to stay for a week and they're going to say, this guy, I don't want to work for this guy. And the reverse is true too. If you come in and you are, as you said, treated fairly, and spoken to with respect, then you kind of feel like, all right, I belong here. I can work here. And that really can help with retention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Retention is good. We have a very good retention process. We've actually increased our demographics, as you know, in this area are changing. And we've recently increased a lot of female workers as well. So manufacturing before used to be, okay, male dominated.
Right.
Area now it's almost like a 50-50 mix as people are coming up into this area and looking for jobs more and more. We're getting a nice little mix, but the problem, like I said, the problem is it's hot. It's sticky in here in the summertime.
Yeah,
The time is not a problem. You can run it. The heat's not a problem in here in the wintertime. We don't have heat. But in the summertime, it's just not favorable conditions at times.
Sure.
And a lot of people don't like that. And it's laborious work. It's not like you're just going to go in there and sit behind a computer and boxes are going to come out. It's physical labor that's associated with it. It's troubleshooting that's associated with it. But yeah, our retention has been very, very good. And then we partner with is another group, Pathstone. So we get employees out of Pathstone, and then we use various local recruiting agencies, and we have our own recruiter on site too. So the Pathstone is very good because we get a decent amount of people from there. And this is a lot of people who go through classes through Pathstone, meaning ESL classes, vocational training classes, and a lot of them are farm to factory. So a lot of the people that were working on a farm, because we have a big agricultural area up there too.
Sure, yeah.
Tired of working outside, they want to try something different.
And that's seasonal work, right? This is way more consistent, yeah.
Right. So we get through Pathstones, we get a decent amount of employees through there as well.
And that's great. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the corrugated industry, there's a lot of talk now in general about sustainability, recycling. I know you guys have been ahead of the curve in a lot of that stuff. Where do you see, talk a little bit about that, and then also talk about where you see that heading.
Okay, with the corrugated company, obviously it's paper.
Right, exactly.
It's paper, it's cornstarch that makes the glue. It's all coming from some type of agricultural product, okay, commodity. What we do here at President Container, number one, is that all of the scrap that we use, all of our cutouts that we get, gets recycled and baled. We have a very extensive recycling program here. Our plastic straps that we wrap the bales with, those actually get recycled, and those go to a company out in Long Island, and they burn them, and it makes energy. Our metal goes back to a metal shop, recycling plant for metal. They break it down and reuse it, and our paper goes back to the mill. Whatever byproduct we have of the production process gets 100% recycled, and it comes back to us again some kind of way. Because there's different types of paper. You have craft paper, which is virgin paper that's brand new, first time run off of the mills. And that comes from cutting down a tree, processing a tree, okay? And then you have recycled paper, which is all the companies and recycled paper that we have. They go down to a mill, they go through whatever their process is, and they remake paper out of it, pulp it, and then make paper out of it. We follow the guidelines of safe foresting industry and forestry, FSC and SFI. SFI is Safe Forest Industry, and FSC is a Forestry Safety Committee, which is the governing body to paper, making sure that everything is sustainable. There's traceability with the paper, where it came from, which farms it came from, and they're responsible at the farms for rotating the forest, replanting, and all of that type of thing, all that nature. I'm not a forestry guy.
Yeah, it's fascinating though. Yeah, I mean, I know that you talked earlier about the competition. You know, some of these big companies that are vertically integrated. You know, like International Paper. You know, they own the trees as well as make the corrugated as well as different. So
they own the trees, they own the mills, they do it all. Very few independent companies anymore that actually do that. The mom and pop shops that used to do it, they got bought out by the integrated. Well, they sold to them. They didn't get bought out. They sold out.
Yeah.
And for obvious reason, it's hard to compete. But we, as a super plant, we try to make our footprint as small as possible in the environment, down to even our water processing. We reuse all the water in the factory. We don't send it out into the system. We run it back through a process of cleaning it. It's not potable, but we clean it, and then we use that to add to our starch process. And that's how we make our starch.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think you might be working through another Council of Industry member in your water filtration process.
Correct.
Okay. Sabo
Industrial. We are definitely. Okay. We're using another.
Okay. The water genius. Yeah.
We got a water guru.
Yeah, he is something. And I know too, I mean, just along the sustainability side, you guys also have a huge solar farm.
Yes, we have
before it was cool, by the way. You have one before it was cool to have one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had it when we first started. We went with a partnership with the Orange County Partnerships and NYSERDA, and I think it was GE actually helped us with that. I'm not too sure. I wasn't here at that point, but I'm pretty sure that's the pathway that we've used. And we have a solar farm that's, I think it's about 10 acres. I think we were the largest independently owned solar farm in Orange County, if not the state, when we first started up.
Yeah, you see them grow up now. I think, what was it, 2010? You said, when was it?
Correct.
Yeah, so I vaguely remember that it was an important statistic.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but we use solar. All our lights and our computers and everything, we run off the solar farm.
Right.
Well, heavy machinery, we have to use external power, but we run everything through our solar farms. Lights, all our ancillary stuff, we use off the solar farm. So we're self-sufficient in that nature. So we try to reduce our environmental imprint as much as we can.
And I know that's, I mean, in some case, that's like, you know, in New York now, that's kind of, you know, the way you have to go. I mean, the regulatory climate is pushing it that way, but you guys moved that way.
We did it before.
I guess that's what I'm getting at. You did it before. I mean, was that customer driven, or was that economic driven? Was it just cheaper to do that? It was just an opportunity.
I don't know if it was cheaper. However, it's just the mindset of our ownership. Our ownership is very, very conscious about the environment. They're very conscious about the needs of people and in the environment. And they didn't want to have a negative impact on Middletown at the time, I believe. I'm speaking of opinion. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
know them personally, so I know how they are in their mind, their thought processes are. And in bringing the plant up here to this area, obviously we needed a bigger place, so we moved from Moonachie. But bringing it up here, they wanted to be a plant, and they had a vision. I'm pretty sure they had a big vision on where they wanted to go and what they wanted to be. And now it's come to fruition with the expansion and everything. But their whole goal was to be conscious of the environment, and that's even with our plant, our headquarters down in New Jersey, and our distribution center for PIP and everything. They've always been conscious of the environment, and that's
that's
something
great.
that they've always, worked towards. And being part of the paper company, paper business, it's the right thing to do, because let's look at it. It's paper.
Yeah.
How could you have a plant and not a paper plant and not recycle it? It's just
Right. Makes perfect
good.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, John Fong, Plant Superintendent for President Container Group, thank you so much for being part of the Council of Industry podcast, and enjoy the rest of your day and go make some boxes.
A lot of boxes. Thank
A
you.
lot of boxes today. All right. Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you for your continual commitment to our company.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Manufacturing Matters, brought to you by the Council of Industry and sponsored by PKF O'Connor Davies, accountants and advisors who understand the unique challenges and opportunities in the manufacturing sector. We hope you gained valuable insights and inspiration from today's discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.